All right, so we are live, and that was the go ahead. Hello, everyone watching. Welcome. This is the Shorts Program Block 8 question and answer session with myself, Kourtenaye Monroe. I am a local Las Vegas performer and film production assistant, and I assist with social media for the Nevada Women's Film Festival. So I'll be helping out everyone today, guiding our question and answer session. We're so excited for any of you who have questions or comments you would like to share. We have filmmakers with us today from a handful of fabulous films, including, we've got filmmakers from The Cunning Man, Blink of an Eye, and Two Paper Nightingales and Possibilities. So in a little while, we're gonna go ahead and start hopefully getting some great questions from our audience. But even if not, there's so many fantastic, fabulous filmmakers here today. I'm sure I could ask them questions for hours and hours, and we could just have a really fantastic talk too. But we're going to probably start just by going around and asking everybody to introduce themselves once, let us know where they're calling in from, and just get an idea, just a little of the background. Everybody just let us know, you know, easy opener. How did you get started in film, just based where you are? And since I have Kaylin George from Two Paper Nightingales on my screen right there with me to say hello with this beautiful background, I would love for you to get started. Open us up with that, Kaylin. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I think it's a great day for discussing film and celebrating women in film. So I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about the film, and thank you so much to the Nevada Women's Film Festival for continuing to hold the Q&As and the mixers and all the great things that you guys have been doing to continue to keep the festival process feeling communal, because I know that I think we all were a little nervous about how it was going to work virtually, but I think that you guys have done a great job of making it work. So thank you very much. I'm Kaylin George. I'm the writer and director of Two Paper Nightingales. And how I got started, I'm not quite sure. I just always wanted to do this my whole life. And I went to film school with Jeff, and that's where I met Jeffrey. So I guess that's where I started.
Awesome. Yes, you have your producer also with you today, Jeff Haskell from Two Paper Nightingales. And hey, it's so fantastic we could have both of you here. Would anybody else like to just come on and do a quick intro? Let us know where you're calling based from.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Jeff Haskell, producer, Two Paper Nightingales, co-producer, our co-producer that couldn't join us. And yeah, thanks for holding this festival.
And we're both LA based.
We're both LA based, yes. And I guess how I got started was my sister, she took lots of pictures. She put her pictures on her walls, and I just saw all these pictures with all of her friends in it. And I figured if I took lots of pictures, I would have lots of friends. And then it turns out I actually just liked it when people were not in it. And so I got into photography, and the camera started to do video, and then I started liking to tell stories. And here I am.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeffrey. All right. And we also have from Possibilities, we've got Brandon Mowles and director and producers Sean Fallon and Charlotte Barrett and Sean Fallon.
I'm not on Possibilities. I'm lost in the 80s.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Brandon. I apologize. You are such a prolific filmmaker. And remind me again, you're Nevada-based, right?
Right.
So you're here in Las Vegas. Apologies for my confusion. I have seen you work on so many sets that I may have just confused how many other films I've seen you working on. So yeah, how about you go next, please? And just let us know just a little bit about how you got started. I already covered where you're based out of.
Well, I got started a little late, as you can tell. I want to be a writer, so I am in my final year for the writing for dramatic media program at UNLV.
Awesome.
I did this as a project for a production class. Kyle and I both shot shot films almost back to back. He shot Papa Voodoo and I shot this one. He helped, he was a big help. Since we went to school together and we were working together kind of like Jeff and I don't have her name, sorry.
Kaylin.
Kaylin, kind of like Jeff and Kaylin, we teamed up. Even though I am producer, writer, director, I acted in the film, I did all of these things. I had a pretty large crew. And that comes from the UNLV community and the Las Vegas community. We're a very close-knit community out here. So that's about it.
Fantastic, Brandon. Thank you so much. All right, and then we do have from Possibilities filmmakers Sean and Charlotte. Please introduce yourselves. Let us know a little bit about how you got started in film and where you're based out of.
So I'm Charlotte. I got started in film. I actually met Sean at NYU. We went to film school together. So I kind of fell in love with it because it combined all of my favorite mediums all into one package. So this is Sean.
Yep, hi, Sean Fallon. We wrote, directed, and edited Possibilities. And hi, this is our 3-year-old Ward who is popping in. And yeah, we met at film school and we lived in New York for a little bit, lived in LA for a few years, and then kind of got sick of it. And now we are based in Las Vegas. So it's fun to, come to the local festival.
Absolutely fantastic. More local filmmakers for Las Vegas. And yes, as Brandon said, it's a pretty fantastic and close-knit community. Very, very cool. All right, so I'm going to double check in. I wonder if we see if we have any questions coming from the audience. And if not, guaranteed I've got more that I'm glad to ask. Give me 1 second here.
I forgot Bill.
Do we have
sure.
Bill?
Yeah,
hello. Do we have you here? Don't want to miss anybody's intro.
No worries, yeah.
Come on through, Bill. How do you pronounce your
hey.
name?
Wisneski.
Wisneski.
Yeah, Wisneski, yeah. So I'm in North San Diego. I've produced and directed a dozen or so documentaries over the last 15 years. So this was a part of a photography series that we produced. Before that, I did a feature film on sex trafficking that was just aired nationally on PBS. So a lot of environmental films was kind of how I started out. That was kind of my passion in the beginning. And it's kind of evolved to more human-focused stories these days. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, so let's double check the chat here. All right, so that's okay if we don't have any audience questions yet because I'm going to do.
Oh, I lost her sound.
You muted yourself, Kourtenaye?
Oh, the wonders of technology. Thank you. And so I'd like to ask all of you wonderful filmmakers to tell us a little bit about your approach to storytelling. We've gotten into it just a little, touched on it a little bit, but I'd like to know a little bit about maybe what you think some of the overarching themes in your work have come to grow to be and how you approach a film when you're ready to tell a story. And can we start actually with Bill again?
Sure, yeah. As a documentary filmmaker, we kind of take a journalistic approach to the issues. So we've covered a lot of complex topics like water management and the drought and human trafficking and environmental issues. And so we do a lot of research. We try to build this story and find what is the common theme that kind of ties everything together. And then we try to make it as personal as possible. So it's like accuracy is most important to us, but then have it obviously affect the audience as much as we possibly can. So recently I've evolved into like the new film I'm working on now. It's very focused on the individuals and having them tell the story, less expert driven, which in the past I was really a kind of expert driven filmmaker. And now it's a combination, but we're trying to really kind of live the experience and have it impact people, in a meaningful way. So that's the thing we always try to do is what's the heart of the story? What are the impacts? How does it affect everyone? and try to tell it in as honest way as possible.
Oh,
You're
Kourtenaye,
muted again.
Goodness gracious. Thank you so much, Bill.
No worries.
Absolutely. I was going to say that you're working with a live subject for blink of an eye, which is definitely a wonderful thing to have historically documented. I'll do a follow-up question with you later because I would love to know so much more about the fantastic photographer that you documented in that film. Okay, but it looks like we do have some questions coming through from the audience as well. So let's make sure we don't miss those. Let's see. Okay, so this question is for George and Kaylin. What was the most difficult scene to shoot in Two Paper Nightingales?
Jeff, what do you think was the most difficult scene? There was many scenes that were very difficult. Personally, I would say that the final scene with all of the actors at one time was probably the most difficult because it required a heavy amount of coordination. And because we were shooting 360 the entire set, we physically couldn't be on set. So we were trying to yell cues from behind the set walls, which is very difficult. And it's difficult to not have that sense of control. And also during that time, we were shooting from a custom designed rig that was floating it was like 25 feet off the ground. And so we did not have a visual compared to any other time in the film. We always had tap and we had, were able to see multiple monitors of what the image looked like while we were shooting. But in that particular scene, because the camera was on the hoist, we weren't able to see. So we were trying to coordinate every single actor that we had in the entire set from 25 to 30 feet above ground and not being able to see what we're doing. So that was probably the most difficult.
Yeah, and then on the production side, when we had, I mean, must have been 19 around in total, almost 20, I think, for cast. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember my watch telling me I had walked 8 miles that day, and it was all in the soundstage. Going from crafty to costume to makeup to set to makeup to set to tap to costume, making sure everyone was, I mean, and the walkie-talkies were going off the charts, just so-and-so is going to makeup, so-and-so is going to costume. I mean, with 19 people, it was crazy. But to see everyone lined up right outside of the set, ready to walk in, listening to the instructions was very, very rewarding. And when the cast was there, Kaylin did an absolute amazing job in giving so many people direction in a way that was very palatable.
Thank you. I think it was difficult getting everyone costumed in a timely and efficient manner, because when you have so many people going through, it has to be like a machine. It
really had to be. It was quite the circuit.
Fantastic.
So that was probably the most difficult. But there was a lot of scenes that certainly had challenges. And I would say emotionally, that was one of the least difficult scenes because you're only seeing the tops of the actors' heads. But emotionally, some of the other scenes were much more difficult.
Thank you so much, guys. All right, I think that this audience question is so great that I'm going to pass it around as well, or actually dealer's choice. Brandon or our possibilities filmmakers, if you'd like to answer the question about the most difficult challenge you faced with this film, that'd be great. We can go back to the overarching theme question later, or dealer's choice. Sean?
Sure. Oh, sure, yeah. The most probably possibilities was the Las Vegas sign.
Yes.
I'd say it would be that, but because, the way the city allows you to shoot at the Las Vegas sign, they give you permission, but you only have a few hours. It's like from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Yeah.
You can only be there. They don't allow shooting after 11. And you can't shut anything down, which we didn't want to anyways. We wanted a lot of people there and real people there, not just extras. And so you know, they make you also wait in line. Like you can't just like kind of interrupt, and they're kind of like blanket that across like whatever production is shooting there. You can't really interrupt the tourist experience. So, you know, we would have to get in line. Everyone's taking their photos. It would be our turn, and we'd have 10 minutes. And we had 2 Metro police officers there who monitored us. And so we'd had 10 minutes. So, you know, we'd get our first shot, and then, you know, we didn't have time to get the reversal. So we'd have to, you know,
Get back in line.
one of the PA, I don't know if it was you, Kourtenaye, but like get back in line, waiting in line for us to make it to the front of the line again to be able to shoot that next scene. And for the long Steadicam shot that kind of begins that sequence, you know, we wanted, you know, our previous short film, we shot at a live Comic-Con, and it was really fun to work, you know, have like a dramatic scene in a live setting. It was chaotic, but it was really fun. It gave it energy. So we were really depending on having, you know, kind of no control, that we were looking forward to that. So it was really fun, and trusting that like at the right time, when it's time to get the shot, there'll be 30 people in line. Because the first take we did it, there were only like 8 people.
Yeah, it didn't work.
It didn't look good. Didn't look good without a full line. So, but luckily when the time was right, you know, everybody
showed up, and everybody stayed in line. And that was a big deal too.
Yeah.
Awesome. A little bit of that planned chaos that you can't actually ever completely plan for, right? Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. And passing that question along down the line, I think the only person we have not heard from on that one is Brandon, about most difficult challenge that you faced creating your film.
I think because I took so much on myself, Kyle was really a godsend whenever it came to, I knew I needed someone to direct while I was on screen. But the most difficult thing for me to do is to act. And I don't know how to play guitar. And Kyle did the guitar work, and I did the singing on the film. But I didn't know how to play guitar. And on set, Kyle was trying to teach me how to do chords. So it would look like I was playing, and I couldn't remember the chords that he taught me how to play. It was nerve-wracking, and I had finally just gave up trying to even sound good, because I knew the sound wasn't going to come out. So it's just, if you listen to the actual filming, it's jung, 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 and it's horrible. But that was the most nerve-wracking for me. And singing in front of the crew. I mean, there's 20 people in the studio that aren't on screen, that are behind everything, and then I'm putting myself out there singing over myself to get the sync down, and it's kind of nerve-wracking. And then not being able to see myself until the shot's over with. I will never do it again. I don't recommend it to anybody. But I knew it was something that I really wanted to do. I didn't write the movie to play that part. But as it evolved, I wanted to play that part, and I wanted to do that part, and I wanted to sing that part. But that was the most difficult for me.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Yes, wearing lots of hats when you're multi-passionate in your filmmaking. Oh yeah, I can see how that is definitely a challenge. I think we've passed this question around all the way once, because did we start with Bill on this one?
Yeah, I guess I asked, a different version, but for us, it was just a challenge. We squeezed this in while we were going to another film festival, actually in Michigan. So we only had 6 hours to shoot. And then we had to kind of problem solve after the fact in terms of the post-production to fill in all the holes that we had. So it was the fastest shoot I've ever done. You know, often I'll spend 2-3 years on a film, and this was shot in 6 hours. So for me, that was the biggest challenge. Yeah.
Time crunch, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, and so now that was so great, you guys. Thank you so much. So I do have a question that is targeted to Bill as well. We'd like to know an update on the subject of your film. Audience question there. Please, if you'd let us know a little bit about your experience working with her.
Yeah, she's a phenomenal woman. So, the short version of the story with her is that she, is really a pioneer in terms of a female sports photographer. And, when she first started out, it was just so rare. And she literally had to sue her way to get access to locker rooms, and just dealt with a lot of harassment and things, back in the, 70s into the 80s. So she's a legend in, the Michigan, photography world. And she unfortunately got multiple sclerosis, and her health has really deteriorated in the last couple of years. So I haven't talked with her. It's been, 6 months or so. She's doing okay, but it's one of those things that just gets worse and worse. And so it was a real challenge during that shoot, trying to, she'd get tired and tried literally sliding out of the chair, trying to help her, get there. But she had such a spirit and such a passion, and that really came through. And that's what really made the film. Is she really is a legend. And so it was fun to spend time with her at the Detroit Free Press. And she will not give up, and until the very last end. She's a fighter. So she's doing well, and still taking photos within her apartment and things like that. So yeah, she's doing okay, but yeah, it's a struggle.
Thank you, Bill. Absolutely. I think it's so important that we celebrate our living legends while we have them. I really appreciated this film, and it's so fantastic for the theme of celebrating our women pioneers in the film industry as well. So thank you again so much for giving us this fantastic opportunity to share the film and experience it. Yeah. Absolutely. Looks like we do have another fun question from our audience here. And I think this one is similar to ones we were chatting about, but a little bit maybe more on the positive side rather than the difficulties. Would anybody like to jump in on the question of what was maybe one of the most memorable moments while making your film?
Finishing.
Yeah. Okay, Kaylin, sure, go ahead, please. Just the relief.
The relief. I think that it was such a large undertaking, and I remember when we were finished and Jeff and I sat down on the floor and we were like, wow, it happened. I think that there was a lot of people who said it couldn't be done, who said that it would never happen. And we just kept fighting for it. And I think that at the end of the day, it was absolutely worth it. But I was really shocked by how well everything came together. And it wasn't by accident, of course. It was a lot of very talented and very, very dedicated people who made it possible. But the most memorable moment would probably be when we wrapped, and it was almost like the entire experience was fake to me until it was done. And then that's when it felt real.
Yeah, I think for me, I of course cried when we wrapped, but when we were in post and all the producers get in a class together with the directors and they watch the cut, then you go back to your class and you discuss what all the different films that everyone did. And at first, no one had any idea what this film was about or what it was doing, and they were just like, "What is this?" And because we hadn't found the structure yet, and so of course that gave me a lot of anxiety. And I think the most magical feeling was every single draft that I got from Kaylin was more honed in. And every time I showed it to the class, I mean, the class went from like, "What is this?" to, "Oh, I think I get it. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. Wow, okay, now I see the piece come together." And I think that feeling of really trusting the vision and just going full force, even if at first it doesn't seem right, that was a very rewarding experience. And all power to Kaylin and our editor and our colorist and our sound designer. I mean, they all trusted the vision and went very, very hard towards it.
I also think a very memorable moment for each of the scenes was the wedding scene. So we had 3 wedding scenes in the film, and we had 1 wedding scene in Japan, 1 in France, and then 1 in India. And I think each of those were fairly memorable because when you get the full costume on, it's I think a memorable experience. And I remember the actress who was playing the elder princess for the Indian story, she said to me, she was like, "This is a real wedding dress." And I was like, "Yes, of course. Of course we brought a real wedding dress." She was like, "I thought it would be a costume." I'm like, "No, this was someone's wedding dress." So that was very memorable, I think. And especially it was special to me, the Japanese headpiece was actually sewn by my aunt, handmade for the set. And so that was also very memorable. Just in general, the wedding costumes, I think, are a big thing to remember.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jeffrey and Kaylin. Yes, I really enjoyed some of the beautiful imagery in your film, and I think it's very memorable. So the process of getting that accurate costuming and a lot of cultural imagery exact, of course, yeah, definitely seems like it would be the ones that stick. Thank you so much. Okay, and yeah, so I don't know how we're doing on time. I think we're doing okay, because I'd love to keep passing around this question, or again, dealer's choice, if our Possibilities crew would like to address most rewarding experience, memorable experience during creating your film, or
memorable. Well, you know what I remember most about Possibilities probably would be the heat. It was really hot the day that we shot, and so I mean, we had an actor crying for most of the day, and the tears would just evaporate from his face. I mean, they were just, it was so hot. So I will definitely remember not being hydrated enough, definitely. And, but my most favorite moment was me basically begging for people to stay in line at the Las Vegas sign. I mean, I was on my hands and knees, like, please, you're making my dreams come true. If you could just stay in line, just please stay in line. And you got the shot, it worked out. We got the shot, and that was pretty awesome.
Fantastic, Charlotte. Thank you so much. And I don't know that Brandon answered this one, or did I start with him? Sorry, guys.
No,
I love listening to you talk so much.
For me, the most memorable part is when I wrote the script. It was intended to use 80s music. This guy was, you weren't supposed to know if this guy was real or not real, if he was a liar or what. And Kyle said, "Hey, I have some songs that might go really good with your script." And I said, "Okay, can I hear them?" And so within 3 hours, he sent me these 4 songs. And each of the 4 songs fit the theme of what I had written so well that it was just a match made in heaven. And from then on, the film just snowballed. Production on the film snowballed and everything. And I don't think the film would have been a fraction as good without his songs. And I actually don't think it would have been as good had I used 80s songs that I had picked and wanted to use. It would have been really costly, for one. But that was the most memorable thing for me was Kyle coming forward, giving me that out.
Absolutely, yeah. I love those happy circumstance, those happy accidents, that synchronicity, that things line up. It seems like when you go full force and decide you're all in for your film, those really unexpected and wonderful things that can happen that just fall into place are so exciting. And yes, it looks like we have a question specifically for Bill this time, and audience member would like to know, how much material were you working with to get your final cut?
Yeah, so this was built, almost entirely in post-production. We had, that one interview we did and that, half day Then everything else was accumulated by my, post-production team. So they did an amazing job of, really problem solving. We had 3 or 4 problems that we were not sure how we were going to solve. And so that'd be my most rewarding thing in our teams, is when we, how that goes, is it felt like you have a challenge and you're like, oh, I don't know what we're going to do about that. And then, oh, we find a creative solution that works. So that was part of it, is gathering the content. We had a news package that we were able to get that was a lifesaver, tracking down photos and, all the historic elements that go into making a film like this were the real challenge. So those pieces coming together was very rewarding when we were able to solve those challenges. You're muted again, yeah.
I tell you, one of these days I'll learn how to stop muting myself every 5 seconds. Bill, I was just saying that's so fantastic. It sounds like a lot of the story came together in post-production. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of outlined it a little ahead of time, but honestly, this was one of those that came together very quickly. It was not as well thought out as often we would do. So it was, this is what we have now. What is the story we want to create? And then how do we overcome the challenges to tell the story we want with some missing elements, for sure. So yeah, it definitely was fully a post-production development in terms of story.
Fantastic. Thank you all so much. I think that I'm double checking on time here, and I think we're just about getting ready to wrap it up. Just want to make sure. This has been such a fantastic conversation. Honestly, I could go ahead for about 10 more hours talking to all of you. So really appreciate you being here. I feel like I've learned an entire masterclass worth of experience too. Okay, well, to all of our folks who've joined us on this wonderful Q&A, thank you so much for being here. Oh, hold on. It looks like we have one last question. Let's make sure we don't miss anybody. So we've got a really great compliment about the music. This question is for Brandon. And we've got a great compliment about the music. Let me make sure I catch the whole part of this question. And they would like to know, it's especially interesting that you had him sing, and then it turned into him singing and it turned into the score. Do you have any thoughts behind that choice?
I was muted. That choice was always there. It was actually written into the script. That I wanted him to be singing, and then the words of the song to turn into the background music. The words to his songs, every single one of those songs, if you listen to the songs by themselves, those words, they fall within the theme of that conversation that they're having, that snippet of that conversation, where he left, how he and his wife were connected, and why he left. And those things that Sarah is asking him, they're reflected in the songs as well. That's why it was so strange that Kyle came up with these songs completely without me in the mix, and they fit so perfectly in. But you can listen to them for free. They're on Spotify and stuff. So, but having those songs under their conversation, I thought fit really well. And of course, the last song, whenever they're in the booth, whenever it cuts off, it signifies that he's gone. And that's all left up to interpretation as well. If he was really there to begin with, or if he was a ghost, or whatever. I wanted a lot of stuff left up to interpretation, and I think that helps with that.
Fantastic, Brandon. Thank you so much.
Am I allowed to ask a question to the other filmmaker?
Please.
I was wondering,
we have just maybe 1 minute left here, so.
Okay. I was just wondering in Lost in the 80s, when he picks up the bottle and the picture floats away, was that meant to mean something in particular about his relationship with his daughter?
Yeah, that the booze was more important. Yeah, the booze was more important than his family, and that's why he left.
Okay. I was wondering if that was the case, and I felt like that was a very beautiful moment.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. That was completely where I was going with it. Because alcoholism is such a horrible thing, and different people deal with alcoholism differently. Some people can be functioning. My dad was a functioning alcoholic for 50 years of his life, and he never gave me up. But whenever he was getting older, as he was getting older and he was drinking, there were times where he just didn't have time for me anymore. So I think I brought that hurt a little bit to the film, and I wanted to show that. And I think that one scene actually sums all of that up in just that one shot. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Fantastic. Getting some cross filmmaker examination here, little filmmakers on filmmakers. I have been given the go ahead for one final question, just to wrap it up, a little bit of something from everybody. And audience member would like to know a little bit about what's next for you, what's coming up for your future projects. Can we start with Charlotte?
We have a feature that we're working on. It's actually kind of an anthology. It's a compilation of a bunch of short stories about one woman. So that's what we also have a couple of other projects as well that we're working on. But yeah, that's our next one, and it's another comedy, kind of avant-garde. So yeah, it's fun. That's what we're doing. It's called Grasping at Straws.
Awesome. I'll be looking forward to that for sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have Bill on that question?
Yeah, no, I am excited. I start shooting in 2 weeks for a new feature film about war orphans who left Vietnam during Operation Baby Lift in 1975. And we follow 3 individuals who were spread out over the country in the last year. They just reconnected, and we were supposed to go to Vietnam before COVID hit back in March. So hopefully we're going to get to go in the next year, but they're coming here and we're shooting their journey of kind of self-discovery and trying to connect with their family. So one of them, through DNA testing, was able to find both his parents. One of them was his father was a service member who didn't even know he had a child. And so the other 2 are in search of their family. And so it's about war orphans. They're Vietnam. It's very common. There's thousands of them spread all over the world who are trying to get in touch with their family before they pass away. And through DNA testing, it's a recent development that has allowed these connections to occur. So I'm excited about it. It's a really fascinating story and has many different levels to it. So yeah, start in 2 weeks. So.
Oh, wow. That does sound fascinating. And yes, of course, with the challenging times that everything's going on with, production being shut down, it makes it that much more exciting to be getting started on something new, hopefully. Yeah. Brandon, what's next for you?
We are wrapping post on Papa Voodoo here pretty soon, and that's going to start making its rounds. And Kyle just laid in the music, so that it's going to be interesting to see what people think about that. I'm focusing on my writing. I had a feature-length screenplay make it to the semifinals on the Blue Cat screenwriting competition. I'm entered in the Humanitas competition that's announcing the first. The Page screenwriting competition that's announcing on the 15th. And this film is actually submitted to the Student Academy Awards. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I believe on the 1st, they're announcing those. So that's what I've been working on.
Wow, you heard it first at NWFFest. Awesome, congratulations. Thank you. All right, and well, I think that's the only person who hasn't answered this one would be Kaylin, George, and Jeffrey Haskell. Yes, please let us know what is coming up next for you.
Well, I'm currently writing a feature, and it is also similar to Two Covered Nightingales. It's related to mythology, but it's very different because it's about monsters. So it's about monsters in folklore. So I'm really excited to kind of continue on that, and I'm really excited for how it's going to turn out. I'm currently working in Beverly Hills for a talent agency, and hopefully in the future I'll be working for production companies.
And I guess to add on to that, I think thinking about it now, I think Kaylin and I intersected based on something that empowers women and something that empowers diversity, and so we definitely connected on this project. But I finished producing a project last February called Eighties. Tackles, I guess, oppression, sexual harassment in the workplace. So we're in post-production for that. In 2 weeks, we have production for a regenerative agriculture course, teaching farmers how to grow crops in a way that actually heals their environment. So I'm very excited about getting that out. And then I'm in development for another short film called Trickster, which explores the feeling of invisibility amongst homosexuals in today's society.
Fantastic. Some really timely and important themes that you're working on coming up next. I will be so excited to learn more about those films, and so looking forward to seeing more of your work, of all of your work. Everyone in this call, thank you again so very much for being here. We are officially ready to wrap now. And thank you everyone who joined us to listen in on this call, or if you are enjoying this by replay at some point in the future, hello from the past. And thank you again, everyone.
For having us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I'd love to connect with any filmmakers. We have Two Covered Nightingales, Instagram, Facebook, website, IMDb, everything. So if anyone wants to connect in the future or collaborate in the future, I'd love to.
Absolutely. If people want to add their social media or their film hashtags or their handles in the live chat, I believe that might be the easiest way to get connected, stay connected. Definitely. Let's continue creating. Let's continue collaborating.
Thank you so much, Courtney.
Sounds good.
Thank you, guys. Everybody have a great evening.
Thank
See you
you.
later.